Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kern White. I'm the service coordinator for Mark. Thanks for joining us today. We're just going to be discussing some important aspects of Mark's transition into adulthood, including housing, social relationships, employment, and post-secondary education. So before we start, I'd like to just introduce ourselves to the group. So whoever wants to start.
Yes, so I'm Ramona Ramirez and I am Mark mother.
Okay.
I'm Lauren Rodriguez. I'm playing the role as Mark, who's a student.
And I'm Marissa. I am playing the role of the teacher.
Awesome. Thanks for those introduction. So first, we're going to be discussing housing options and any support that Mark might need just to transition into his adulthood. And then we'll talk about some strategies for developing and maintaining healthy social relationships. We'll address employment goals and his opportunities that he might be able to have. And then finally, we'll talk about post-secondary education plans. So first, I'd like to talk about housing. I know, Mark, you live at home with your parents and your two younger siblings. How do you feel the housing situation is at this point in your life? Do you like it? Do you think you could live independently?
I think as I get older, I'll eventually be able to live independently. As you can see, my interactions with others aren't the best, so I'm hoping to still work on those skills. But eventually, based off of my parents' decision, if I stay in school, whether it's I'm 21 or till I graduate when I'm 18, I would eventually like to live on my own.
Awesome. And then Ramona, as the parent, do you see anything at home that Mark does that you really think is a positive way that he could use down the line for housing and living independently?
Yes, he really likes routine and he sticks to it. And I believe that's a good thing because he follows through it to every step. And but there is something that is concerning me a little bit, and is that he doesn't realize the time he struggles um finishing tasks on time because he don't understand how long a task may take, and that's something that is worrying me because if we are trying to help him be more independent, that's something that is concerning. I'm sorry, I'm just
Absolutely. Yeah, you bet. And then Marissa, in the classroom, do you see or use any strategies that help that time on task that Ramona's talking about?
So we definitely see that he does struggle with his time management skills. And I think that one thing that we can use more is like a visual timer for him, and we can have his visual schedules so he understands that he has this amount of time for this task and then he moves on to something else. But I think that a visual timer for him may even help him even more.
Absolutely. Okay, is there any more concerns with housing at this point?
Not for my part. I think he's doing very good, and he is very excited to start doing, like he says, grown-up stuff and start being more independent.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to social relationships. We know that Mark has difficulty understanding social relationships and social interaction. Is there any concerns with that moving forward into a career or in the classroom? Marissa, if you want to add anything to this as well, you can.
So definitely like his interaction with his peers isn't the greatest, and we definitely need to work on that. Something that can help him are social stories. So like they can just help him be able to um interact with his peers more, or if they're doing a certain activity, he can have some conversation starters that he can use so that he can start a conversation with his peers and not feel left out or that he can't start a conversation.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. Mark or Ramona, do you have anything to add to social relationships?
I think me as a student, seeing if the school has STEM, the fact that I am interested in technology, maybe if I can pair up with some of my peers, I might then join into having that comfortability of being social with them and communicating with them because we have something related to each other and we have that interest. So I think if I were to join a club or a class or anything that's related to technology, which schools have STEM, I would then be able to um, learn more social skills.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we
Mhm.
could definitely get you set up with a STEM program in the school, and that also will build your social skills and your interactions with others. And that also is a really good turning point for employment options. I mean, we know that you're interested in computers and technology, and I think that's a really good field to get into, especially for employment. So if would you be interested in getting a job in one of those categories?
I think I would, yes.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely.
Okay. And then let's talk about post-secondary education. Um, so I know you want to go into technology and things like that. Are you willing or if you want to, are you willing to go to college for 2 years or 4 years or something like that?
Yeah, so I know that obviously I'm 16 years old, so I'm a sophomore. I know next year they have the CTC program. So maybe if I was able to join into one of those departments or programs and I would just base off how my liking is and how I interact with my peers. And then maybe if my mom would let me, we can then talk about college with my guidance counselor and my team.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. And then Ramona, what do you think about that? Do you support the college or do you think he needs extra support in college or
Definitely. Definitely. I do believe he needs extra support with his social skills, since even though he's getting a lot of help, speech therapy, and he participates in kind of like a acting class, performing class, which helps him with his skills, he still feels a little bit isolated because he don't know how to interact properly with his peers. And so that's a concern that I have and his father have
Yeah.
about him. Yes. And I would like to know what options are there for him to practice more his skills with people.
For sure, we're gonna get some programs implemented for him that helps him with those social interactions, and then also like having that support he needs, like the social stories and just getting him more social uh interactions is gonna be very helpful for him, and in the long run, it's definitely gonna help him a lot.
Definitely.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? Um, moving forward. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna meet up in a year for the annual review, and then we could talk about things going forward and then just progress that's being made for Mark. Okay,
Okay.
awesome.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay, so what went well during the meeting?
Um, I think that Mark has a clear understanding of what he wants and what he's capable of. And so I think that the goals are accurate for him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. what's the next thing here?
I think like what we talked about, like I think we like asked and like answered every question that would be needed like in a real like IEP meeting. Like we all like addressed like our own concern. We all also like backed each other up with why it makes sense or why it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what are some areas for improvement? I mean, it's kind of hard because like it's a fake student. Like we don't
Right.
have never, it's not like a real
an
relationship.
example of what the teacher really like expects, so it's like very broad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like if I was able to see the kid like in class and like
Mm-hmm.
what he's
We would
learning.
have like more realistic ideas and everything.
Right. Yeah. See like what's actually like needed. Like is there like breaks needed? Is there like a one-on-one needed? Is
Yeah.
there like sensory needs, like whatever it is. So like I think like you said, like it wasn't so like it was very broad.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it could be a little bit more specific and more extended in some details about his sensory, for example. What can we do to help him because he gets overwhelmed when there's a lot of people around and he's trying to go outside in the world to trying to get a job and all that. And that I think that's something important.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. What's the best way to work with both the student and the parents to make decisions? That's a good question. I think it's important to just like now that like I know he's like 16, but just make sure he has input in his meetings. I mean, it's a good thing
Yes.
that he was in the meeting just so he could give his input, like stuff like that. So
And
Or-
to listen and like validate their concerns and like put forth effort to make sure that they feel okay by the time the meeting is over, that something is going to be done to help.
Right.
yeah. So,
right, yeah, or like the understanding of like, does his goals like meet his parents' goals? Like, does his mom still want him to live at home and like she's his caregiver, or does he really want to go out and live like his life on his own? Of course, like still having this parent on the side, but like having that like distance of living his own life.
for sure.
Mhm.
Who should have the most input? I think it's supposed to be equal. I think that's you should definitely encourage from parents and students, but like all together, everyone should have the same amount of input.
Right.
You know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Agree.
And then what are some ways to ensure that the student demonstrates self-determination?
I'm sorry, can you read that again?
What are some ways to ensure that the student demonstrates self-determination?
What he just did. I mean, he vocalized everything he wanted it, his plan,
Right.
how he want to do it. He even said, if mom lets me, like he already has his goals, his own goals. And I think that's the right way to do it. The meeting is about to
Okay.
start in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
They didn't
let's just
allow me to do more than 30. I don't know why.
Okay. I think okay, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the students should be discussed? So we talked about the social issues,
Mhm.
like I don't know,
Yes.
the career.
Yeah, we talked about him maybe having STEM opportunities and his technology and
Housing.
everything.
We
Yeah.
spoke about housing too.
Mhm.
The only thing we didn't really touch on was on the sensory part, but that's part of the social too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
covered, I think.
Are we out of time?
Is there another question though?
Yeah, it says what are some other insights about the meeting, but I think we kind of hit everything. I think we did a really good job of
Yeah.
just for the circumstances, I think it was really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
When I
It's fine.
submit it, I'll send it to you guys. So
All right.
Okay.
Sounds
Right,
Yes,
sounds
okay.
good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
Have a
so
good
much.
night, guys.
You
All
too.
right,
Have
see
a good
ya.
night.
Bye.
Bye.